Come to Ballarat and grab a bargain. There are still properties here under $500,000 with rental yields above 5%. I'm not holding anything back. Today I'll walk you through exactly how to buy here step by step. This video is a bit long and is mainly divided into 3 parts. In the first 30 seconds, I'll clearly explain the core logic here. In the second part, I'll explain why there will be a wave of catch-up growth here in 2026. The third part will be the most professional in-depth analysis on the internet, including the 2 specific areas I recommend you buy in here, and a huge hidden risk that 99% of agents won't tell you about. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on this money-making opportunity. Let's look at this chart first. Population refers to the number of people, and GRP is the region's total economic output. Everyone has always thought that Geelong is Victoria's second largest city, so its economy must be the strongest, right? Wrong. Look at the data. Ballarat's economic output, or GRP, is more than half again as much as Geelong's, but its population is only a third of Geelong's. What does that mean? It means that Ballarat's per capita output, GRP per capita, is extremely high. In other words, the locals here are actually much wealthier than you might think. And let's add one more thing. Melbourne is the largest city in Victoria. Geelong is the second, and the third and fourth are Ballarat and Bendigo. So the earning power of people here is actually on par with Melbourne. But here's the thing, people are wealthier than those in Geelong, yet house prices are a full 200,000 Australian dollars cheaper than in Geelong. That's the core of the first part, a mismatch in value. This $200,000 price difference is your safety cushion, and also your potential for growth in the coming years. Now, let's look back at history. Every time in recent years when the price gap exceeded 200,000, Ballarat would always catch up. But if you're already interested at this point, you absolutely need to save this pitfall avoidance map. If you're busy, you can scroll away, but make sure to save it, okay? At the end of the video, I'll go into a deeper analysis because Ballarat has overlays for bushfires, floods, and flash floods. All 3 are present. Plus, the city and its southern area also have irregular heritage overlays. This means there's a lot of land here without development value. So this is a place you can buy in, but you need to be extremely careful when choosing the location. A lot of friends ask me, Joe, Geelong has the ocean, but Ballarat only has the cold wind blowing in from the mountains. Isn't that $200,000 price difference totally justified? Well, if you're buying a holiday home, that's true. But if you're investing, this way of thinking will make you lose money in 2026. Everyone knows that the holding costs in Victoria are quite high right now. The reason Geelong is expensive is because of the land price. For an $800,000 house, the land value alone might be around $600,000. So how much land tax do you have to pay each year? If I'm already paying $2,000 in land tax, why wouldn't I just buy in Melbourne instead? For $700,000, I could buy in Melbourne. So why Geelong? When Geelong properties were 40, 50k, we helped clients buy many, gaining significant equity. Today, even the cheapest Geelong homes are $60,000, so we've moved to the next market. And for a $500,000 house in Ballarat, the land value might only be $300,000. In 2026, under this environment of high interest rates and high holding costs, the low proportion of land value in Ballarat can help you save a lot of cash flow because investing is about the numbers. It's not about sentiment. The second logic is what we call the scissors gap in rental returns. What does that mean? Right now in Geelong, the rental yield has already been pushed very low by housing prices. It's around 3%, which can't cover the interest at all. Unless you come to us to renovate the house or you add a granny flat. But if you're really going to add a granny flat, why not just do that in Melbourne? Now let's look at Ballarat, especially the western and northern areas. You can still easily find properties there with rental yields over 4%, even reaching 4.5% or 5%. But let me finish. There are some properties here that you shouldn't buy. If you don't want to pay thousands out of pocket every month just to hold on to a property, Ballarat is currently one of the few places in Victoria where I call it a defensive asset. Third, I remember it's called the downgrade migration of the population. You see, house prices in Wyndham in Melbourne's west have also gone up, and it's extremely congested. The current trend is consumption downgrading, so young families who are being priced out of Melbourne and Geelong are now flocking to Ballarat. These people aren't lacking in workability, they're lacking a deposit. Ballarat happens to be able to accommodate this group of high-quality first home buyers. Next, we're going to dive deep into how to avoid pitfalls. This part is extremely important, and I'm the only one talking about it online. I've searched all the social media platforms. So if you want to buy in Ballarat, you must understand this risk. Everyone knows that Ballarat has medical expansions and there's an employment zone in the west, but at the same time, a huge hidden danger is emerging. The Sunshine Super Hub project in Melbourne. To build the airport rail link, the government plans to cut off a key freight intersection at Sunshine Station. It's a bit hard to understand, so let me just give you the conclusion. What does this mean? It means that goods shipped from Ballarat to the port of Melbourne may be forced to detour through Geelong, adding an extra 47 kilometres to the journey. This will increase Ballarat's logistics costs and weaken its former status as an industrial manufacturing centre. So why are we still optimistic about Ballarat? Because its economic engine is shifting. In recent years, it has been transitioning from traditional heavy industry to a focus on healthcare and public services. In the past 2 years, the state of Victoria has spent a huge amount of money upgrading only 2 hospitals. One in Frankston, Melbourne, which cost 1 billion Australian dollars, and the second is Ballarat Base Hospital, where the government spent 650 million Australian dollars on expansion. This means that once the expansion is fully completed, healthcare will become the largest employer here. The rental demand from doctors, nurses, and even construction workers during the building process will be enough to support the local rental market, especially since there are no new houses being built here. So if you're investing in Ballarat, don't bet on blue-collar tenants from the industrial areas because the demand for blue-collar workers here will gradually decline due to transportation issues. So what should you buy? You should target white-collar tenants working in the medical sector. Alright, now we've come to the most crucial practical part. With a budget of around $500,000, how can you buy in Ballarat with your eyes closed? How do you buy without overthinking? First of all, you need to avoid the new developments. Avoid the new developments. Avoid the new developments. Repeat these 4 words with me, because in Ballarat, there is an unlimited supply of land all around. In places like Lucas and Winter Valley, the price premium for new homes is severe, and it's very hard to resell second-hand properties quickly. Locals won't buy these kinds of properties. Only overseas buyers, who end up getting ripped off or deceived, would buy new homes there. So where should you buy? The first place is Wendouree. I had already inspected this area before the pandemic. In the past, its reputation was just average, but it's right next to one of Ballarat's most expensive affluent neighbourhoods, Lake Windermere. This is a classic case where property prices drop by half just by crossing the street. The spillover effect from the wealthy area has already caused Windermere to undergo gentrification over the past 2 or 3 years. With the same amenities, shopping centres, trains, the lake, you only spend half the money compared to the affluent area, but you get to buy in its neighbouring suburb. Plus, the renovation potential for old houses here is huge. Several of my local friends who are rental agents and builders are all doing flips here. That is, buying old houses, renovating them, and then selling them for a profit. Now here's the key point. How should you buy in Windermere? Try to use the map and buy in the middle left area because to the north there are flood risks, even flash floods, and to the east and south are all industrial zones. The second area where we buy the most is called Sebastopol. This place is the essential entry-level option for the working class. Compared to the extremely expensive new developments nearby, here the land is large, there's development potential, and although the houses are old, they're still solid. What does it mean to have large land and development potential? It means that today you have a house on a plot of 600 or 700 square meters, and in the future, when the house gets old, you can demolish it and build 2 or 3 of those new house packages you see today. So, for friends with limited budgets who still want a decent property, trust me, the margin for error here is definitely the highest, but you should still try to buy in the central or central northern areas. Because to the west, as I just mentioned, is the newly developed area, which is mainly for overseas buyers and newcomers. To the east, it's an area with overlapping bushfire zones and severe bushfire risk. Unless you're trying to commit insurance fraud, you really shouldn't buy there. And the purple dots on the map represent heritage overlays, which means those areas have no development potential. When you're buying in this area, make sure to compare it with this map and definitely avoid these spots. So to sum up, if you've watched this far, you must be one of my loyal followers. The next few rounds in 2026 will be a playground for the wealthy. If you missed out on the growth over the past 3 years in that area, then you shouldn't go there anymore because getting in now means high entry barriers and heavy taxes. But in 2026, Ballarat will be the battleground for ordinary investors. It's a great opportunity to make a move. Let's make the most of this $200,000 price gap, take advantage of the boom in the medical industry, and benefit from its high rental returns to survive in this era of high interest rates. You will definitely see the day when it catches up in value, because that day is already on its way. I'm Joey, a buyer's agent who speaks with data. If you want this in-depth 2026 Victoria Regional Property Research Report, including all the data charts I just mentioned, type 2026 in the comments or come to my profile to find me. I'll send it to you the same day.